Alright guys, I am back with my review of this week's episode of American Horror Story Asylum, episode 11, Spilt Milk. And this was a really good episode this week. Some crazy stuff went down here. Some stuff I really didn't expect. And it starts off with Johnny, Dr. Thredson's son in the future. He's getting high and a prostitute shows up, who he apparently hired because she just gave birth and can produce breast milk. It was really disturbing. But it cuts back to him later, and it goes to Briarcliff, and we see Dr. Thredson, who leaves Kit with Grace and the baby, and she tells him that the baby grew so fast because time's different there. And Kit's special, and so is the baby, and he asks about his wife, and she says that his wife died, and the aliens, sometimes they make mistakes. So the head priest shows up with some orderlies and a nun from the Home for Lost Children, and they take Kit's baby. Mother Superior tells Lena that she's here to get her out, and she gives her her file to prove her story so that she can shut down Briarcliff. Lena tells Judy that she will come back for her, and she gets the tape proving Dr. Thredson's bloody face. And Lena is leaving with the nun, and it shows this split screen of Lena sneaking down the stairs with the nun, and Dr. Thredson telling Kit that he will help his son if he gets the tape. And Kit sees Lena and distracts Dr. Thredson so that she can escape. And I really thought this was a cool scene with the whole split screen, and it did a good job building suspense as she tries to leave. So Lena gets in a cab, and Dr. Thredson runs out, and she puts the tape up to the window and flicks him off, and I thought this was awesome. Dr. Thredson rushes home. He's going to try and pack up his things to skip town, I guess, and Lena's there with a gun, and she asks what he did with Wendy's body, and he tells her how he had sex with her body and then cut her up, and it cuts to the future with his son talking to the prostitute and doing some other disturbing things with her, and he starts talking about his mom and this horrible thing she did to him, and he gets really angry and he attacks this woman. And then it cuts back to Lena and Dr. Thredson, and we see the sirens outside, and she tells Thredson that he's going to get the electric chair, and he says, "I'm crazy. I'll probably live a long life in an institution." So she shoots him. She kills Dr. Thredson, one of the last main villains in the show. So he's gone now. I guess the head priest is going to be the last villain. But yeah, Dr. Thredson is dead. And we see Lena tell her friends that she's moving to New York. She's surrounded by reporters. She gets in a car and drives away. So her story has broke. It's all over the newspapers. We see the head priest reading the newspaper reports, and Judy freaks out in the common room and tells the head priest that his fantasy of going to Rome is never going to happen since he's had sex with the devil. Good point. But he gets pissed off about this. He says he will go to Rome, and he throws her in solitary. Kit gets released because they found out who Bloodyface really was, and he tells the head priest to release Grace and get his son back, and if he does that, he won't talk to the reporters. And since Grace was declared dead by Dr. Arden, no one has to know the truth. So Kit, Grace, and the baby arrive at Kit's old house, and they're looking around the house, and Kit hears a noise. So he opens the door to the bedroom, and his wife is there with another baby. So this was pretty shocking. Lena goes to see a woman who performs abortions, but she stops and decides to keep the baby. There's been enough deaths, she says. And she goes to see the police about all these people who have gone missing in Briarcliff, and it shows a list of names and pictures, and one of them's Pepper. So I guess after Grace had the baby, Pepper just kind of disappeared. I mean, it showed her earlier in the episode telling the other patients to stay away. But once Kit started talking to Grace and she was telling him about the baby, I guess Pepper vanished. I don't know. But the police say there's nothing they can do, and Lena tells them they can talk to Sister Jude with a court order. So they show up at Briarcliff, and the head priest tells her that Sister Jude hung herself. And of course Lena doesn't believe this. She thinks he killed her. And then we see Sister Jude in the deepest, darkest recesses of Briarcliff. She's in solitary, so she is still alive, and I guess Lena's going to try to get her out now. And the last thing we see is Lena, who gives birth and refuses to breastfeed the baby, refuses to even see the baby, but a nurse comes in and says he won't quit crying. It might help if you breastfeed him, and Lena agrees to this. So that's how it ended. I'm really interested to see what they do with these last 2 episodes here. The head priest is the only villain left, and Kit, his wife, has returned. Plus, we have to see what exactly Johnny is talking about when he's saying, "You wouldn't believe what Lena did to me." So something had to happen there. And one thing I'm still wondering about was in the first episode, what was in that room that ripped off Adam Levine's arm? Like, what was that? Because it still hasn't gone back to that. So I'm curious if they ever do go back to it. But yeah, a good episode this week. 2 episodes left, and they still have a lot of stuff to wrap up. So it's going to be pretty awesome to see what they do with this. So that's my review of this week's episode. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on this week's show in the comments, and thanks for watching.